What's up and welcome back? I'm John Stark from MyMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And today we're going to talk about His Three Daughters. This is currently available on Netflix and it has audio description. By who? I have no idea. I stayed all the way to the end. There is nothing at the end of this film. Nothing for you to see here. I have no idea. I was so interested because I was like, the narrator for this was speaking so slowly. He was very calm. It's very, and we talk and we walk into the room and we see, and it's a very somber piece. So I'm not saying that that's like a negative thing, but I was so intrigued because a lot of times you have such a limited amount of time to get the audio description in. I was like, how did he do it? Like, how does he maintain this level of calmness in his voice and this tone? And it's a little slow, his narration. He's not urgently paced, but at the same time he got stuff in there. And I want to know, like, from a writer perspective, when this is your narrator, like, did you have to change the script a little bit to was he reading too slow? Did he pick up the pace? I don't know. It's very interesting. I was intrigued. Unfortunately, there's no information at the end, so this movie could have been narrated by anybody. um It's a shame. So, yeah, this is a film that premiered at a film festival and Netflix bought. So inherently, it should be better. For my blind audience, by the way, I've got it's my black hat, black. I forgot what I was wearing. My black baseball cap, black sunglasses, and a Mortal Kombat shirt. So I don't know why I died there in the middle of just describing myself. But I get oddly excited for weird reasons about films, which is why I don't do like those anticipated lists on my channels like other YouTubers do. They're like, oh, my 10 most anticipated films of the year. Yeah, I love nerd culture too. So it would be like Marvel films and Pixar films and sequels and stuff like that. But it'd also be things like, um, oh, I heard there's a film coming up where Natasha Lyonne's really good. And I love Natasha Lyonne, and I'm here for it. I'm really looking forward to it. Like, I didn't know necessarily anything about the plot of His Three Daughters. I just kept hearing Natasha Lyonne's really good. I was like, yes, I'm here for it. It's just like like I hear Demi Moore is very good in The Substance. I've heard what that film is. I've heard it's body horror, not my thing, but I'm more excited for it because of Demi Moore, if that makes any sense. So sometimes if you put the right person and you tell me this person's really good in the film, I then become really excited about it, uh, regardless of what the film's about. Like, I don't even really need to know. If you take an actor I like and you tell me, oh my God, like first of all, if somebody tells me my favorite actor is Brian Cox, which I'm pretty honest about in like every single video, that I love Brian Cox, but every way that word means. Um, And so if somebody were to be like, there's a movie coming out and Brian Cox is going to win an Oscar, I would be all over that. I would be so anticipating that movie. I'd be like, where's the Brian Cox Oscar movie? I'm like, this man deserves an Oscar nomination. I wouldn't even care what it was about. I wouldn't even know. Like, you could literally I could never see a trailer and be like, what is the synopsis? IMDb could be blank. you know, but if enough people were just like, oh man, there's film coming out, it's done, I'm here. So I was excited because of Natasha Lyonne. And it also has Elizabeth Olsen and Carrie Coon, notably in the film. It does have some other people who float in and out, but this is really called His Three Daughters, and his three daughters are played by those three actresses. So it's basically a play. You're basically watching a play. I'm sure this is a play. So much so, I'm so convinced this is a play, I'm not even going to look it up. I'm not even going to look up the play because it's very limited in set. Like, it doesn't need to change much. It mostly takes place in this apartment with these three daughters who are kind of just waiting for their father to die. Um, he's sort of in hospice care. He's got a nurse that comes in and out, and the three daughters have very different worldviews and life and shared experiences, and I think they have, from what I picked up, I do believe there were two different mothers. I think that Natasha Lyonne's character has a different mother than Carrie Coon and Elizabeth Olsen. I think that's how that worked out. If I picked up that wrong, then script. But yeah, so I think that's part of the reason why Natasha Lyonne is always sort of like a little bit different, and the way that her sisters treat her is different, and her reaction to the world around her is different, and she totally stands out. And Natasha Lyonne's performance in here is fucking amazing. Just absolutely. I would put that on a poster. It needs to be on a poster. It just needs to be Natasha Lyonne is fucking amazing. With the F word on a poster, just for children to see. We need to teach them this word and have them associate it with Natasha Lyonne. Because it's such a word that she uses all the time anyway. So it's just, yeah, it feels like, why not? Fabulous performance. I don't think this film is going to go anywhere because it's uneven. And it feels way too much like a play. It's almost too quiet. It's almost too contained. It's not really well directed. I'm not really excited about the direction of this film. It's just sort of like anybody can take three actresses, hand them the script, and be like, go. I feel like that's kind of what they did, because nobody really directed Carrie Coon here. She's just allowed to... I don't even know what Carrie's doing. I don't know really how to explain it, but she kind of kicks off the film. She has a monologue that feels like a monologue. And I don't mean just like it feels like, because it is. She talks for a long period of time. But I was sitting there thinking, I was like, wow, theater kids could take a cut of this and they could do this and they could audition for shows. It's so presentational. It's so theatrical. It feels like an actress standing on the middle of a stage speaking directly to the audience. That's how it felt. And that's how Carrie Coon presented it. She presented it as if she was on stage to an audience of people. It was, the way that she speaks is so like live theater throughout the whole film. She doesn't ever have a beat that has anything resembling I'm in a movie. She's constantly in a theatrical play, to the point where if I did enough research on this, if I cared to do enough research on this, and somebody was like, oh yeah, she was in the play, the other two were added for the film, I'd be like, well, that makes sense, because she keeps reading it like play, and the other two are reading it like it's a movie, and they're finding different beats and different pauses. And there's a way that Carrie Coon is speaking here that, if you're familiar with her work at all, you'll notice that there's a way that she attacks other roles in TV and film that is very different than she's attacking this role. This role feels like I'm watching a live theatrical production that was recorded off of Broadway. And this is Carrie Coon giving, having to project her voice a certain way so that the audience can hear her. Having to, you know what I'm saying? Like having this very sort of oddly commanding presence in a very small space. It doesn't quite work out when you're having this very quiet, intimate movie. Elizabeth Olsen's performance is better, but I still think it's Natasha Lyonne that steals the show. Her grieving and everything is just like on another level, and I just loved it. I just thought Natasha takes a script that possibly was written for the stage and makes you feel like it never was written for the stage. Elizabeth Olsen is sort of like in between. Like she complements both. I could see her doing this as a stage play, but I can also see she works perfectly in the movie. But Natasha Lyonne is the one thing that makes you go, no, this has to be a movie, because she just makes it feel so effortless in the realism of the character. She feels lived in. She doesn't feel like she was cast. She feels actually like she is the character. Like, this is a person, this is a real person, and you're watching this person evolve. Whereas Carrie Coon feels so totally like, what do I want to say? Like you go to your local university or college and you're watching one of them. You're watching a student actor. I don't even think it's a good performance. Like, I don't even think it is a Broadway performance. I mean, wouldn't surprise me if she was in the cast from a Broadway show, but at the same time, I would also not surprise me if she didn't get a Tony nomination for it, if that makes any sense. I'm just not really impressed by her performance at all. It just, the whole thing just rubbed me the wrong way. Every time she was on screen talking, I was like, what the, did anybody give you any direction? Was this your direction? Are you making terrible character choices, or were terrible character choices made for you? Like, I'm so intrigued because I'm already just like not really impressed by the direction. So if Carrie was told to do this, I'd be even less impressed. I'd be like, well, I never need to see this director again. So uh, I'm not even bothering to learn the name. Who's the name of the director? I don't know. I don't care. Because they didn't really bring anything to this project. I feel like anybody could have done this. There's nothing here that says, wow, you had a vision. Thank you for carrying out this vision. Um, so I thought it was so weird that they separated the actresses too. And I can't remember what kind of producer that they called them. Uh, but instead of being called executive producers like they usually are, they were called something else. And it was very odd. I was like, why did you separate them? Like, everybody else always gets called executive producers, and it's like, we know what it means. Like, it's a celebrity that signed on to the movie to help push it forward. But they've got the three main stars, and then also, interesting, Maya Rudolph is, I think, is a producer for the film. But they're labeled as something else, and they're not. Like, it's almost like the real producers were offended to have them in the same categorization, so they had to put them in another list. I wish I'd remembered the term because it hit me so, and I was like, I don't think I've ever heard that before. I've never seen that in a film before. Um, it's like we always know that they just hand out these producer credits sometimes, but at the same time, it does help get a film distributed and picked up and everything like that. So your film's on Netflix. They did their job. you know, I don't know what else to say about that. Um, yeah, I wanted this to be so much better than it is. I wanted this to be great. Uh, but it's Natasha Lyonne. This film is as great as you think Natasha Lyonne is. That is what I'll say. Is your enjoyment of this film depends on, do you like Natasha Lyonne? Are you rooting for her? Do you think she has come such a long way over the course of her career that she deserves to be in an Oscar conversation? Are you going to take this film and carry it, even though the film isn't as strong, but she is strong in it? Like, do you think that she can be nominated for a film that is fine, but it's made better through her? I think if somebody else was in this role, the film wouldn't work. I think she's like leaps and bounds like ahead. And I love Elizabeth Olsen too. Elizabeth Olsen is another actress who I get really excited about her being in things. I like Carrie Coon, by the way. I just don't like her performance here. This instantly became my least favorite performance from Carrie Coon. Like, because normally I'm just like, oh, well, it's a great actress, you know? And here I was just like, what is happening what is she doing? Uh, so, it's like, it's like watching The Deliverance and being like, Anjanou Ellis Taylor, what are you doing here? Why are you here? What is happening? You know, and Glenn Close and all those like wonderful actresses that were in that film. And you're just like, what is happening in this film? And why are you here? Like, so I don't understand choices. But then again, J.O. Sanders plays a man who's like near death for like the whole film. And he just kind of gets up and he just kind of talks. And he talks normally. And he gets his speech out. And I'm sure people are like, well, it was like that last little. But he doesn't even feel weak. The man has been in a bed for like a long fucking time. And his speech, first of all, he's only 71. I looked it up. He's 71 years old. So he's not that old, but so he needed to do a lot more to really feel like, damn, I've been in a bed for a long time, you know. But they help him out to his chair, and then he kind of like sits in like a window seat. I don't want to like totally like ruin the whole movie, but basically, so I'm not gonna tell you how that ends, like the resolution of this film, but I hate even having to like mention the fact that he comes out of, but I have to mention the fact that he has a performance. But I didn't like his performance because he's just like, oh, I'm here, and like vocally, he doesn't sound tired. He's not like water, like anything. He's just like, oh, I'm here. Let's talk. Let's have this I've been hearing I have some things to say. I was like, what is happening here? This movie did not need this. This is so God, I really, really, really wanted to like this movie. And when Netflix slated it for September, I was like, this is not good. This is where they put Fair Play, and Fair Play didn't get any nominations. So, um, yeah, a lot of times September is not necessarily where you want to launch Oscar titles. It's where you launch sort of like fringy Oscar title. Like maybe they'll get nominated, but not likely. Uh, and Netflix is saving some of their higher profile films for later, like The Piano Lesson and Amelia Perez. But this is not gonna. I'm afraid this isn't translating anywhere, which really sucks because I think this is Natasha Lyonne's best performance in film. Uh, I have to say in film because her television work is also like on next level. She's been great on Poker Face and Russian Doll. So, but still, I don't even know. This might be her best performance. She's just really good in this, and I just adored her in this. And a lot of the grace and the grade that I'm giving has a lot to do with that. I with the caveat that I'm not bothered by Elizabeth Olsen, and Elizabeth Olsen's performance is fine. It's just I would not. It doesn't scream give Oscar nomination, um, like Natasha Lyonne's does. So, I have no problem with Elizabeth Olsen. She's only Carrie Coon and Joe Sanders just really didn't. There's a couple other people who come in and out of the film, like nurses. There's a friend of Natasha Lyonne's who has a little bit to do. I thought he did a good job. I'm not totally familiar with the actor, but and I wasn't as concerned with him like in general because honestly, I just thought I didn't. Every time he kept appearing on screen, I was like, wow, he's still here. Uh, because the film was called His Three Daughters, so I was like, well, obviously that's what the film's about, and so I was focused on that. But so I wasn't like really even paying that much attention to his character, and I was just like, damn, oh, he's in another scene. Good for him. Like I just was like, oh, he's really getting some screen time here. Okay, good for this guy. Because it's not like His Three Daughters and this guy, and the neighbor and the best friend or whatever. It's His Three Daughters, so it should be about that. Uh, I would love to be able to recommend this, but you know, I am because of Natasha Lyonne. So I'm going positive because of Natasha Lyonne, and also because Elizabeth Olsen didn't. I think she does a good job. She's not going to be any sort of Oscar consideration for me. The audio description, like I said, it's a little weird, but it's also perfectly somber, and I'm so intrigued. I'm intrigued by it. It's not that I didn't not like it. I was like, man, this guy's really taking his time, and it made me think like I was like, is the audio description suffering? And I'm like, well, they benefit from the fact that they're not really leaving this space. Like the most they ever do is Natasha Lyonne goes outside and smokes. Um, they don't really have like many locations to go through. Um, the cast is really small. Some of the characters don't even have names. So like just nurse, parent is an actual credited character. So yeah, they just like some people aren't even it's a very simple film to sort of narrate because once you've sort of explored the space and introduced your three lead characters, then you just kind of have to focus on, facial expressions. And I mean, it's modern day, so they're not really wearing interesting clothes. So, and they're pretty much staying, they're not getting, they're not dressed to the nines to wait for their father to die. So none of that is happening. So if there's ever a film where you can really match it tonally, it's probably this film. It's almost performative. I want to say it's performative, but it's performative in a very different way. We think of performative often as matching, almost in like an up-tempo way, where you're matching a horror film by making it scary, or an action film by making it sound like it's even more explosive than it is, or a comedy by leaning into the comedy, right? Well, this is a way to be performative dramatically. I felt like whoever was doing this was really taking care of its subject matter. And I was only intrigued because he does it at a very kind of measured, slow pace. And normally, when you speak a little bit slower, it becomes hard to get all of the audio description in a given period of time, like that, like I'm doing. But also, if I'm going to talk about somebody dying, you're going to want somebody who's speaking a little bit like this. So I'm intrigued. I'm also intrigued by the fact that nobody wants to take credit. Nobody has credit for this. Nobody took credit for this. There's nothing at the end of this. Not even the company. Nothing. There's nothing at the end of this. It's so weird. Anyway, because Netflix allows credits. Plenty of companies are able to get, company, writer, and narrator. So how did this company get nobody? It's very weird. That's it. Those are his three daughters' thoughts. But mainly off of Natasha Lyonne's performance, because this might be in my top 10 for Best Supporting Actress of the Year. It's hard to say supporting also, because the only reason I would say supporting is because I feel like all three of them are either lead, or all three of them are either all supporting. It's one of those things where it's like there is no lead or there is no supporting, because they share almost exactly the equal screen time. It's probably what should have happened with The Favorite. Instead of bumping somebody up into lead and then running the other two actresses in supporting, is because their screen time is so evenly matched. There was a debate about, like, well, who really is lead and who really is supporting. I think they actually found out in my research with that Emma Stone actually technically has the most screen time, but she was running supporting, whereas Olivia Colman was running lead. So I would just throw all three actresses in supporting and say there is no lead. As weird as that sounds, because to run three actresses in lead would be also weird. It just, sometimes with ensemble films, though, you get them more in like supporting. You see multiple nominations running in supporting. So if I'm running three people, I'm going to run them in supporting. But this is, I'm not sure really it's category fraud either, because again, I think they have equal screen time. So I don't know that anybody is a lead here. They're either all or none. So choose your category wisely. That's it. Anyway, I'm giving his three daughters a B-, boosted by a really great performance and a really good performance, and some stuff that works when they're on screen, some dialogue that works, and a nice audio description track. The audio description track definitely helps here, but I'm being a little bit generous, I'll be honest, because I can sit through films with great acting. Like, I can watch a great performance in a mediocre to bad film and walk away and be like, wow, I love that performance. The movie was not great, but the performance made it worthwhile. Not a lot of people can do that. So for a lot of other people, this film may be different. I don't know. So anyway, check it out, or don't. It's sad. It's a sad movie. It's not a happy film. So if you heard Natasha Lyonne and you're like, oh, she's going to be wisecracking the whole time. No, she's not. It's a very different performance from her. Uh, anyway, I think people should watch it though. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.